Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm gonna do a part 2 to this. Not sure if it's gonna go to part 3 or 4. I'm not really for sure yet. I'm just relying on what the Lord gives me. So, in conclusion to what the first part of this was, it goes in a little bit more. You know, the Lord showed me how to explain to people what He wants you to do in a situation if you feel yourself getting ready to retaliate against people, or to get confrontational. He says, here's what He wants you to do. He wants you to visualize Him when He was strapped to that stump, per se, and they were beating Him, and they were whipping Him, and they were taking chunks of His skin off of Him. And, you know, those little, I think it was called flogging or something like that. I'm not really for sure even how to pronounce it. But basically, it was a device that had like little turned in little spikes, like claw-looking things, and it would grab your skin, and as it grabbed them, they would close into your skin, and they'd pull it, and it would just rip chunks of you. And basically, you know, I don't know how else to say it. It's just, that's got to be extreme torture, painful. And again, it shows what the Lord has done. But He said He wants you to visualize this. And I guess the best way I can describe this, if you haven't watched the movie, watch it. The Passion of Christ by Mel Gibson. There was a time that I was walking with the Lord, and I said, Lord, I want to see your crucifixion. I really want to see what you've gone through and what all you took on. And there's a part where I started to turn back, and he grabbed my shoulder, and He turned me around, and He says, no, look. And it goes under that saying, be careful what you ask for. You know, be careful what you pray for God, and be careful what you ask the Lord to happen in your life, because some things you just may get. And I'm telling you, I literally wanted to throw up, and I couldn't. It's almost like if you ever had that dry heave feeling, it's worse than that. I literally felt like I wanted to spit my heart right up out of my mouth. It was the most gruesomest thing and horrifying event that I have ever witnessed in my life. And we're talking, by the time they done, they rolled Him over, and then it was hitting Him in the sides and in the face, and, you know, and then to turn around and carry a full cross, and not just a cross beam, but the full cross. And that wasn't even enough. They were still spitting on Him. He's swelling up. He just looked like, I don't know, like a beaten, battered piece of meat. The thing that came to my head was Rocky, when he was beating on that side of beef, and you can watch the ribs breaking and the blood forming and all. Exactly what it reminded me of. But a lot worse, because this is a human. And He said he wants you to know that He did this for everybody. Because some people never really been in a lifestyle where they had any tragedies. They grew up in a loving family. They didn't have to go through a lot of different situations. And some of us lived a totally different life, and so down and down and down and down and down. You know, it's hard for some people to relate. And He says, you know, when these people are walking around with these crosses on, you know, they wear these crosses, but they forget what that cross stands for. You know, it's amazingly, He told me once that, you know, His father wanted Him on that cross to show an everlasting love, because there was no closure to his hands. He was spread wide open on that cross. That shows how much he loved you. There's no end to it. And he knew the Romans would fulfill it. You know, so many people come against Judas, you know, but Judas, somewhere down the line, when, because, it says at the moment the devil entered him. I believe there's a moment when the devil left him and Judas realized what happened. And that's when he took those 30 silver coins and he threw them back at him. But then they turned around and didn't want to touch the money because it's blood money. Then they bought that piece of land out there that they buried people in. That I'm told it's still there. Unbelievable. But you got to look at it as, I also believe there was a split moment in Judas's life that he truly believed that if he brought him in there, that they would see what they see, the miracles and the healings and all this stuff. I don't know. I'm not Judas. I wasn't there. But where I'm going with this is here. How can we then falsely accuse people and judge people and say all these things about people when we don't know? We don't know what's going on in their thoughts. We don't know what's going on with them. And people come against people all the time. And this stuff happens more and more and more. But who are we to say anything? That's where the trouble comes in. Because 90% of it's going to be made up, fabricated stuff that they thought they heard, they didn't hear. Because how many people really pay attention? Because these days they're all on their phones, they're doing things, and they're listening to what you're saying. But I guarantee you, as soon as they walk out that door, they're going to use every word that you're saying and add that 90% to it, and you're always going to look like the bad person. That's why God says to be a person of few words. He told me once, he said, if you don't say a word, then they can't use anything against you. How can they condemn you if you say not a word? The problem is, my stubborn self gets to that frustration point, and I call it the vomit from my mouth. It just won't stop. I get a little frustrated sometimes when people start saying stuff and talking and going on and on and on about stuff that they have no clue. Who are we to say anything? But yet I also have people say, well, wait a minute, you do it. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes I do it to test the waters because that's what the Lord's telling me to do. See where they are. See where they stand. You can't fix something if you don't know what's wrong with it. We can't help people if we've never been there. We can talk to them about things, and then you get so many people that go in many different directions, but you claim to be godly, but then you present yourself as the world's ways. Who are you? Or you're really actually better watch those steps, because you're misleading people, because you're telling them now at this point that this is what God is and this is what the Lord is. I'm telling you, how can you say that God is like the devil? One minute you're talking about church, the next minute you're wearing things and you're doing things, and you're all of a sudden it's everybody's fault but your own. You can't go off that, because go back to what I just said. Jesus went to the cross. Let me ask you this. Since a lot of people are so judgmental and a lot of people like to point the finger and play this back and forth game. Say you got two kids and you like to judge the world. You like to judge people. You like to stereotype and put them in categories because you're perfect. So you're standing in the throne room of God now. Let's just pretend per se that everybody's listening to this believes in God. So you're a Christian and you're standing in the throne room of God, and God walks up to you. Now granted, the only person who's ever seen God was Jesus that we know of. I don't know. Well, I know personally for myself, when I've been in the throne room and I can't help but to fall down to my feet. And I can't look up because it's so super bright in there. I mean, the sun is a dim light. It would be like if we, I don't even know if they make like a light bulb, like 20 watt lights or whatever. So dim, the sun would be to God. It's true. The throne room is magnificent. And you could feel God's presence. You could feel His inner self connecting with you. It is so amazing. You know, I tell people, be careful, because they say, oh my gosh, I wish I could go to heaven. I wish I could see what you see. Be careful. Because the more I go to heaven and the more I come back to earth, the harder it gets for me. And I got to watch that, because I know the devil will use this. Just be thankful for what God gives you. That's all I'm saying. Be thankful for what God gives you as far as your abilities and what He's going to give you. Okay, now you're standing there. God says, fine, I'm going to let you judge now. I'm going to let you judge the people that are coming. And you're seeing people and you're hearing the cases, because there'll be another video on truly the judgment times and what will take place before the rapture, during the rapture, after the rapture. There is no judgment. I'm sorry. Most likely, if you're left even after that final stretch of people that are lifted up into heaven, if you're still there after that, you might as well just start walking towards the gates right there, because there's going to be no time for you to plead your case, because your lawyer, per se, Jesus, is gone. He can't hear you no more. After the rapture, it's like God's going to block his hearing, his eyesight, and he's not going to hear your cries. The Lord ain't going to be able to go on your defense, because he's going to be reigning with his people. He's going to be in that celebration with them. If you were having a birthday party and you invited a bunch of people over, and I came over and I started, hey, and everybody's flocking over to me, am I not taking your glorious time? Am I not taking a special event from you? See, that's why you're not going to be able to hear it. Because God is not going to allow your moment that you worked so hard for. Everybody that's in heaven, they worked so hard to stay faithful. Yeah, we may slide, but the idea is not to slide. The idea is, like these videos, to keep you going, moving in the right direction. But now you're judging, and all of a sudden, here comes your two kids. And God's just sitting there. Just picture this, watching you. And God's looking in the book. When you call, when the angel Gabriel calls out the names and says, uh-oh. And God says, okay, one's going to heaven, one's going to hell. Choose. Hold on, God. Those are my kids. I want to bring them both to heaven. No. One's going to heaven, one's going to hell. I'm going to allow you to choose. Because this one over here, I would say, yes, I'll enter. They may be on the servant side of heaven. I'll let them enter. This one, has been sneaking out of the houses, been running around with riffraff, been breaking into stuff, been terrorizing stuff, been knocking old people down, robbing people. But I'll let you choose. Which one do you love more? Could you do it? Both of them standing in front of you? Could you do it? Be honest. Even put yourself, maybe you're so frustrated with that child, and you got both of your children, and one of them you're so frustrated at, you're so angered at, because they've been messing up, and you're tired of fighting with them, you're tired of arguing with them, and they're blaming everything, going back and forth, and all of a sudden you go, "Oh, I'm tired, I'm done with it." Now could you judge? No, you can't. And stop judging the world. Let God do it. He's way better at it than we are. He knows. When you sit and listen to these kind of teachings, the only way I know how to give them to you is the way God gives them to me and the way the Lord have sat with me. See, I'm a simple type of person. Big words and pronunciation, the pronounce of things, words and stuff. It's here, and it never wants to come out sometimes. And I won't apologize for this, ever. You can comment, you can leave nasty comments, you can do whatever you want to do, but just remember, God made me who I am today. God allowed everything in my life, like in the book of Job, allowed it all to happen. In the same weird concept way, I'm kind of like Job. The devil took everything. He can have it. He can have it. If that's what God wants, then that's what God gets. We have to be willing to give 100% to God. And to do that, we must follow under the Lord 100%. Whatever the outcome is, whatever the take is, we got to really start examining ourselves, people. These visions and stuff. I mean, I got tablets and tablets of stuff written years. And my wife's been telling me about a few people that she listens to. And I've been trying like crazy to get a hold of these people. And, I know a lot of people are flocking and sending stuff in, and they got to go through and pray and, get their thoughts on a lot of this. But I'm telling you, I can't write this stuff down. And this stuff is coming true. Some of it was years. I mean, literally, some of it took a few years for it to happen. But lately, things are happening so quickly. I'm telling you, you're going to be hearing of these vicious tornadoes. And I'm talking F5s. EF5s now. But I'm talking record ones that don't even have a category yet. I'm talking they're gonna go from EF6s, EF7s, and they might even go to an EF8 on some of these things, because it's going to be. And how they determine this, in case you don't know, I used to do a lot of training on these on this stuff. So in case you don't understand it, they go off of how much destruction that it does, and how much debris and stuff that falls from these, and that's how they determine the category of it. Whew. I know I still got this on. We got a EPU, which is kind of like an air conditioner unit type thing and heating unit in our trucks, and I don't care. I turn the fan all the way down, but if I turn it off, then you're sweating, and it's hard to get this comfort. And it's like I can feel the temperature outside dropping, and it gets crazy. And the weird thing is, I came back here, and I don't know, it had to be about 3 o'clock or something this afternoon, and I fell asleep. And I woke up, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm going, well, it's too late to call my wife back, so I'm just gonna pray. And so I prayed for a little bit, and sat and thought about these videos, and sat and thought about how to go at this. And it's like sometimes you got all this stuff like moving around, and I try to write the notes down, and it's like trying to prepare for vacation that may not happen. A good example, look, I know a lot of people were supposed to take cruises in the COVID hit, and they canceled everything. That's what God expects. He don't expect us to plan for anything. You know, if we spent more time concentrating on God and concentrating on the Lord and spending time with prayer, this world will change. Not only would your lives change, but the world will change, and we would see a bigger change of events. I woke up, and I seen, remembering what I seen in my dream, and I was walking along these streets, and it's disgusting, people. There is tents everywhere. There is naked people. There is needles and stuff all over the grounds. People are urinating and other bodily fluids and throwing it, and destruction, and just out of control. Just plain out of control. And you're going to see soon. I don't know how soon, but I would say most likely, from what I'm feeling, before this year ends, you're going to hear that the government is going to give money, and it's not the same state. I'm feeling it's a totally different state that's going to do this, that they're going to pay people on the streets, because this is their solution to it. They give them money, then they'll start cleaning the things up themselves. This is going to be the government's answer to this tent cities and all this stuff that's going on. But I want to say this is a really hardened place. So I don't know what state, but I would have to say a couple states come in mind, and a couple cities come in mind. The Bronx in New York, Michigan. You know, you got streets in Michigan that it's not even safe to drive down the streets, let alone walk down their streets. And how terror is that for the people there? Because they've become so hardened. People don't want to deal with it. They won't even go there. They'll beat the living tar out of you. They'll break your cars, into your cars. But San Andreas comes to mind. And I'm sure there's more that rates into there, but that just goes to show you how evil and corrupted this is becoming. You're also going to start seeing these homeless people getting fed up and just walking right into people's homes. People, this stuff's coming. This lawlessness of no respect is coming. The Lord said it's going to multiply. But they're going to pay. Let me get back to the paying thing. They're going to pay people, if you're women, if you're transgender, or if you are a person that doesn't say you're any kind of gender. You're going to hear this. Now, what about males that are homeless? I guess they're out of the picture, unless they're going to claim to be a transgender or unisex, or go in there and claim you're a donkey. Maybe they'll give it to you. Who the heck knows? But what about if they're a gay man? You're still not getting anything. Isn't that discrimination? Isn't that what... Now I'm curious, because all the gay rallies and all this stuff that's going on, is now the transgenders and the gay women going to stand up for the gay men? Or is this the walls of Jericho? Is this going to bring in a big major feud in between them now? Remember, people are going to turn against people. I got a feeling it is. I really do. I really got a feeling this whole thing is going to flip upside down, and the government, per se, the ones that are majority coming against everything under the century, they're going to cause a bigger riot problem than what they expect. You can't buy everybody off. Go on YouTube and just sit there and look at these commercials. I seen another one when I was seeing if the last video uploaded, if it was complete. I seen another one on there where they're talking about this stimulus is going to end, this stimulus is going to end, this buyout is going to end, this is going to... I mean, how many buyouts, how many stimuluses? Because they want to get your vote. And you're going to be so happy to give them your vote, because you're going to forget about all these things. And there was a video that some guy commented back to me on, apologizing. He said, "I'm sorry. I came against you and I said a lot of bad, hurtful things to you. And I watched the video that you told me to watch, and you were right. Absolutely right." He says, "I about fell out of my chair and I started calling people and telling people to watch this video. There was he said, I counted over 24 firemen way before 9/11 even hit." He goes, "I think it was like 8:33 is when the video started taking place. And you can hear someone talking through the video of 9/11 going, 'Was that a plane that hit?' And they said, and somebody says, 'No, it was an explosion.'" But if you watch that video, you will see what looks like a plane flying into the second tower. But my thing is, everybody claims exactly 9/11. On 9/11, at 9/11, the first plane hit the building. I said, no, that's not true. The explosion came before 9/11. There was people standing. There was firefighters. If you watch that video, all these people on vacations, and you had news, and how is all these people there? I don't want to get into the 9/11 thing, but it's been on my mind since that guy responded to that. But my thing is, when the first plane hit, all them firefighters, all them rescue squads, how in the world were they there before? And here's the thing. They locked down the second building. All them people are still in that building. Why in the world, who in the right mind would stand outside of a building that's just, and when the plane hit, you watched it explode outwards. Not inwards, outwards. Like a bomb blowing up. if a plane hit the building, the stuff would go inwards. Yeah, stuff would come out, but it would go inwards, not explode outwards. The plane didn't come from inside the building, out of the building. And when that building dropped, it dropped perfectly, like you would be exploding a building. But why did it take so long for the second tower to explode? Because they supposedly hit one right after the other. Well, they didn't. Look at the times. Look at the times. And I'm telling you all this for a reason. Because that's how the devil deceives you. You will believe whatever everyone else believes. And you can read the comments on there. People are saying, oh, this and that. And I just had enough of it. And I'm not saying I'm everything in life. Or you're going to listen to me and this is all it's going to... No, I give my food for thought. But I know the very things that I speak is true. Because I see the things unfolding. I walk through places that I've seen water rising up and just destroying. I had visions of massive landslides bringing buildings down. Mud just flowing into buildings and just overcoming, flipping cars, burying cars. And it happened. And I think, I don't know if it was here in the States or if it was in another country. But I remember seeing it on the news, and I just sat there and I went, there's so many things that happen that I just wish I knew who to contact on a lot of stuff, because maybe things would be prevented from going into that extreme measure. I don't know. Or maybe this is just what needs to take place for the change and for Jesus to come. But I know this much. There is difficult times coming, people, beyond what we have ever seen. The government is not done. The devil is just starting. You think about this. When the final hour of this world and the new kingdom is going to be lowered down to this earth and everything around us is going to be wiped away. God said he's going to take everything the devil did to every person. And I was talking to my wife about this today. Say there's, I don't know how many people are actually on earth, so I'm just going to use a number. Say there's 200 billion people. God's going to take everything he did to 200 billion people, and he's going to build chains. Chains now. Not just one chain, but chains. And I see